welcome back to my channel. And today we are doing a February wrap up. This might be coming out a little bit late because I'm having issues with my computer and it's just not going well, you guys. So we might be a little late doing this, but better late than never. And so let's get into it. This month I read 22 books, and that's pretty good for me. Last month I read 18. Usually last year specifically, I read like a lot. I read over 300 plus books last year in all, and I wanted to take this year slower. So 22 is lower than I usually do, but I'm glad I'm taking things slower. I do want to read more of my physical TBR. I've been reading a lot of KU library and borrowed books, so I want to read a little bit more from my own physical shelf. But other than that, I think I did pretty good this month. So let's get into it. First, we're going to start off with the books I read on KU or I don't physically own, or books that are from the library. So first, we're going to talk about Finding My Bodyguard. This is by A. Blossom. And I gave it a 3.5 to a 4 star. It was, I don't know, toxic in some ways, I guess, but it's not really that, because that's what I had to say about her other book that I read. It just didn't hit as well as I thought it would. But this is for my Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses series, and where I'm trying to find out which authors at the convention I want to buy physically from and like put stock into, I guess. That's the worst way of saying it, but yeah. And it just got a 3.5 to 4. There's not really much to say about it. However, the next book, Playing with Soul Ties, that I gave a 2 star. It was very toxic, very like back and forth. It wasn't enjoyable as a romance, and it wasn't enjoyable even as like smut, because it was so toxic and there was just so much going on. I just couldn't take it. It was too much. Next, I read King's Distraction. This is also for the Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses video, and I gave this one a 3 star. It wasn't bad at all. It just didn't hit me as well as I thought it would, and I bought the entire series, so I have all 5 books, and I'm pretty sure they're just going to get better and better, because there was nothing wrong with this book. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing wrong. It's just that, in my opinion, the characters were a little bit bland, and the storyline was a little bit bland, but it wasn't bad in any sense of the word, you know? Next, we have here A Low Country Bride, and this is a very non-spicy romance if you are into those. I give it a 4 star. I really enjoyed it. I realized a lot of my favorite romance books have a correlation to grief as well, and this is one of those. And I might as well talk about book 2 because I also read that one, Sweet Low Country Proposal. I gave this one a 3.5 just because it didn't have the same oomph as the first one, but I still really enjoyed it. Both of these were really good to read. If you don't like spice in books, here are your options. It was very well depth in Black Southern culture, and it was very good. I really enjoyed these 2 books, and this is a finished series. I started this month and I finished it this month, so I'm very happy about that. Next, I read a series I also finished. Let me get it for you. This is a part of a different video that I'm doing called Finishing Series I Accidentally Bought Book 2s to, and that's a long title, but basically I bought this book. There's a lot of books that I have that I bought books 2 to that I didn't realize were book 2s, and this is one of them. So I got book 1 from the library, which I do not have, but I gave that one a 4 star, I believe. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Like a 3.5 to a 4. And then I read book 2 and I gave it a 5 star. I love fantasy duologies. They are very easy to pick up, very easy to finish, and they're not drawn out. Everything in them needs to happen. Same thing I feel about standalone fantasies as well, but sometimes in standalones I feel as though because you wanted all to fit in one book, you were missing some things. But I love a duology, and this was a great one. I recommend it highly. It's about, there's 2 worlds, the sky world and the ground world. And the sky world don't think that ground world people still exist, basically. And the ground world basically thinks that the sky world is like full of gods. one day a young boy falls down to the ground because the sky is falling basically. They're held up by like engines and things like that, and it's starting to fail. So he's like, we should go down to ground to inspect if it's safe to go down there, and no one wants to do that. And he goes down there, falls, meets the queen, basically, like the priestess of the ground, and things ensue from there. It's very political, it's very magical, it was very enjoyable. Next, I read 3 books by Lakia. I read Saint, which I gave a 4 star. I read A Scene, which I gave a 4 star. And I read Rambo and Gianna, which I gave a 3.5, I believe, or a 3. And this is also from my Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses series. It was very good. I really enjoyed them. All of them follow a different couple. I really enjoyed them. I will speak more about them in the Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses episode 2, so look out for that. Then I read Ruby Fever, which is the last book in the Hidden Legacy series by Ilona Andrews, and I gave it 5 stars. It was top tier. It was amazing. It was great. And now to start another series by her, which I'm guessing I'm going to start, what is it called? Magic Bites. I forgot, Kate Daniels series. I think I'm going to start that one next, and I'm very excited. I need to own all of these Hidden Legacy books. I saw 1 or 2 of them at the secondhand bookstore, but yeah, I need to own them. It's so top tier. They're really good. Next, I have Love on Replay. This is by Monica Walters, and this right here, I gave 5 stars. This is also from our Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses video. Top tier. This was also a reread. I read it a couple years ago, and I gave it 4 stars, but now I'm giving it a 5 star. It was top tier. Again, I love romances that have like an element of grief to them, and I didn't realize that until like it started really showing up, when I started realizing it very heavily. But this was really good. It's quite thin as well. I need to have my own copy. This is my mother's copy. Miss Monica did the thing. It was really good. It's about a husband who lost his wife years and years and years and years ago, but he still feels that grief very heavily. And a woman who's grieving her divorced marriage because it was a one-sided love. He was into drugs and very reliant, and she realized he's relying on me and he's not. So they had to divorce, and these two people find each other, and they have so many kids. Like, she has 2 kids, he has 5 or 6, and I know that each book follows one of the kids and things like that. And I'm just very excited to continue with this series because it was a really good book. I just loved it. The communication, that's another thing, that's another line through. The communication in that book is so top tier. And the smut is not bad either, let me just tell you. Next, I have The Memory Thieves by Danielle Clayton. And this book was really good. I gave it 5 stars. I think I gave book 1 4 stars, but I gave this one 5 stars. And I believe book 3 is out. I just don't physically own it. So I'm technically caught up, but not really. This was so good. I'm not going to tell you much about it because it's book 2 in this fantasy series. But basically, there's things called the Marvelers, and they have powers. But there's also a section of people with powers who focus conjure magic. It's a very black-centric, southern black-centric magic system. Think about, what's the guy's name from Princess and the Frog? Just not evil. Him, but not evil. And they are not bad people at all, but it's basically an allegory for how black people created America, right? But white people act like they did, and act like all the history and the technology that black people brought into this country or made in this country was made by them. It's a very good book. I recommend it highly. The only thing is, what I thought about book 1 and this one is, for these to be middle grade, I don't know if like a 10-year-old would find this as interesting as an Amari and the Night Brothers or as a Harry Potter, because there's not as much look at this fun thing going on and look at the scary bad things. It's a lot of scary bad things, especially in book 2 where you already know how the magic works, and you know you're not going you're not seeing how the floating works and the bippity boppity boo of it all works, you know? That's all I have to say. Next, I read What the River Knows. This is the special edition copy, and I gave it 5 stars. I think I'm on the minority group of people who like this book, but I was entertained the entire time. It was a fun read while you're doing a puzzle and you're listening to it. It was just really good in my opinion. The twist, I was even like starting to tear up towards the end because something happens to a certain character, and it was just really, really good. I really enjoyed it, and I need to read book 2, but I want the special edition of book 2, but I don't know. I can't find it on like Pango, and I'm just like, ugh. But like, this was really good. I really enjoyed this, but I don't think many people did. So yeah. Next, I read The Will of the Many, and I read this physically by eye, and I gave it 4.5 stars. And I'm just going to read you what I basically wrote on my Goodreads, because that is my feelings on it, and I don't have much else to say. But this book was confusing at times. It felt like I was kept in the dark sometimes, and it made me cry real human tears, which it did. The ending, the reveals at the end left me even more nervous, but anticipating what will happen next, because I learned some stuff, but now I have more questions than answers. We'll be reading book 2 when it comes out, absolutely. And that's all I have to say, because there's not much else I can say. This book is so confusing in the best way, and I was getting nervous because when I first started, like that first like 100, 150, 200 pages, I was like, people are loving a book that I'm not loving, but then I started to really enjoy it. I really enjoyed the main character. This book actually had real stakes in it, and that's something that a lot of fantasies are missing nowadays. They don't have stakes. They don't have things going on. And this, some would say, had too much going on, you know? But hey, I don't know. Okay, next I have 3 library books that I already returned, which shouldn't have done that. But the first 2 are Nora Roberts' books, Nightwork and Legacy. I realized where my bread and butter is with Miss Nora Roberts is not like romance, it's not the fantasy, because they're not my faves. It's her romantic suspense, her romantic thrillers. The only book before now I gave 5 stars was Identity. It was top tier in my opinion. And then I read Legacy and Nightwork. Legacy I gave 4 stars. Nightwork I gave 3.5 just because it didn't have as much stakes to me, because it was about theft and stealing and not about like murder. But Legacy was really, really good and entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. Again, grief. I don't know what that is about me, but like grief. It was really good. It was really top tier, and now I know what to get from her. Now I know what I like from Nora Roberts. It's her romantic suspense, her romantic thrillers. Because her villains are very scary villains. Like, ooh, they're very scary villains. Then I read Champion, which is book 3 in the Legend series. I felt like this was a great place to end a book. Yet, there's a book 4. I gave this book 4 stars. I will be reading book 4 because I feel like it will be incomplete if I don't. But that kind of annoys me, that there's a book 4. Next, I read, again from our Southern Hearts Assigned Kisses. This is a Kindle book. I read Stay Down by Casey Mills. 5 stars. It was top tier. I love this romance. It was like 220-ish pages. It was so good. It was so good. Let me make sure I've talked about all the Southern Hearts people, because I read those all this month, I think. Yeah, I did. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I will be reading more from Casey Mills. This is not the first things I read from Casey Mills. I read a duology series, and I gave them both 4 stars, and they were very good. But this one, top tier. I really, really enjoyed this one. Next, I have Fractured by Will Trent. This is book 2 in the Will Trent detective series. I accidentally read the first one from the library, and I read book 8, but it was really good. I gave it 5 stars. So I had to go all the way back to the beginning. So I read book 1 last year. This is book 2. And I own book 3, so I put book 3's audiobook on hold on Libby. So I should be getting that quite soon. This was a 4-star. It was really, really good. This woman writes horrifying books. This series is basically if Law and Order SVU was set in Georgia and it was 10 times worse. And the thing is, and written down, because a lot of these do with sexual violence. So if that's something that you don't like, and she's very descriptive, and she does it for a reason. Obviously, it's to show how horrible things have to get before there's intervention, how horrible the justice system is at points, how horrible the prison system is. Because book 1 was so much more traumatic, but book 2 was a lot easier to handle. Soul-wise, my soul, she be hurting my soul sometimes. I've now officially read 4 books by her. I read Pretty Girls, which was, I read book 1 of the Will Trent series, book 2, and I read book 8 accidentally. So I'm getting used to her. Is that a good thing? I don't know. The last 2 books I have are graphic novels, book 5 and book 6 of the Walking Dead comics. Each one of these, I believe, have 2 volumes in it, I believe. I own books 1 through 4 and 14, which I can't read yet. So I'm getting the rest from the library because all the secondhand stores, all of them new, are very expensive, or they're not available. So I read book 5 and 6. I gave 5 a 3, and I gave 6 a 4. What the biggest thing I have to say about these 2 books is that I've watched the TV show, and I'm rewatching it right now. I'm on season 8. Things move so fast in these books that sometimes they just feel like, and also sometimes I'm just like, okay. Like book 5, I gave it 3 star because I felt like I had no time for anything to settle. No time at all. It went from one thing going on to the next, which I guess is how life can be during the zombie apocalypse. But as a reader reading it, I was like, this is a lot going on. And so much from the show that took place over a whole season, maybe 2, takes place in this one book. So much from the show is in this book, this specific volume, book 5. Like, you'll be like, I know that and that and that and that from the show. One book. And then book 6 was better. It was slower paced, which I usually don't like in books, but like in these I needed it because there was a lot going on. It was slower paced. I realized also in the books there's no main character. In the show, Rick Grimes is the main character, and spoiler alert, when he leaves, like Daryl becomes the main character, I would say. But there's no main characters in these books. Everybody has like an even thing, and which I like, but also they're not distinctive characters, even though they are. Like Michonne, with her locks and the sword and her stony demeanor, but it's still not like distinct, which is interesting. All right, everyone, those are all the books I read for February. I read 22 books, and I'm very happy about that. And I'm very happy to get some physical books off my physical TBR shelf and put them on my red TBR shelves, or red shelves. And I'm happy about that. And I'll see you again for a March reading wrap up. Bye.